Pharshat Behar. Behar. Before we start, I would like to encourage you to email us, contact us if you have any suggestions, requests. No complaints. I don't want to hear complaints. Just good things and requests. If you have a special lecture, you could do so at rabbigaon@gmail.com. Also, you can go to our website, yeshiva.etzion.com. I think there's a link there as well. Rabbigaon@gmail, yes, and yeshiva.etzion.com. And there's also PayPal, and you can make a donation. I also would like to thank all those wonderful and unbelievable people that continue support us. And it is just simply unbelievable chizuk to us to continue doing what we're doing. I really appreciate it. On behalf of the Talmidim of the Yeshiva and myself, I would like to thank you. So Pharshat Behar deals with the matter of the Kedusha, the holiness, and the high level that the land of Israel is. Why it's good to live in Israel. The parasha starts with the mitzvah of Shemitah. Shemitah, lishmot, means to drop. Shemitah is the mitzvah, the sabbatical year of the land, in which we don't do any agricultural work in the land. We don't cut the grass, we don't plow the fields, we do anything like this. And as it says, Uvashana hasheve'it Shabbat Shabbaton yeh la'aretz. It's going to be a sabbatical for the land. And then it talks about Mitzvat Yovel, the Jubilee year. It says, Yovel hi shnat ha-chamishim shana tiyeh lachem. The Jubilee, the 50th year, is going to be a year for you. Later on the parasha, we see other mitzvot, the mitzvah of Isur Ona'ah in Kriyat Karka. You're not allowed to deceive people by buying the land. Thank you. The prohibition of interest and neshech, ribit, v'neshech. The prohibition of selling permanently your estate in Israel. The laws of selling the house, the laws of the Leviim where they live, the prohibition of making idols, and so on and so on and so forth. The Torah, the parasha ends with the words Et Shabtotai Tishmoru Umikdashai Tirau Ani Hashem. And you should keep my Shabbat, and you should guard and awe at my temples, for I am God. But she explains Ani Hashem. She says, Ne'eman l'shalem sachar. Kadosh Baruch Hu, you can trust him that he's going to pay you. He's good for the money, as they say. In other words, you should know who you're dealing here with. Chazal, Chachamim tell us and explain to us that the main focal point of the parasha, with all the mitzvot and all the other things, it really revolves mainly around one core, one main topic or idea, and that is the emunah, the belief in divine providence and developing trust in God. Do you really trust God? If not, there's a little bit of a problem. It says in Tehillim, Kol mitzvotecha emunah. All your mitzvot are evolved around emunah. Emunah means trust and believe in Hashem. And that is in Psalms Kuf Yutet 119 verse
7.
Pevav?
86.
86. Close, 86, 7,
6, 7,
between 8 and 6, and 7 is the middle. Yeah, you were there. The root of the life of the Torah, the core, the essence of life of Torah and doing the mitzvot is emunah, belief. The Netivot Shalom explains on the uniqueness of the mitzvah of Shemitah, which is mentioned at the beginning of Parashat Behar, that it is the peak, the level, the top of the madrega, the level of emunah, and that's what it's called b'pchinat emunat ha'evarim. Believing this in all your limbs. And why is that? Because when a Jew for a whole entire year abandons his field, doesn't work in this field, he lives from this field. He grows vegetables. That's his livelihood, both for money and for livelihood, to eat. The parnassah for the whole entire house. Even though he's not working, and he doesn't really know what he's going to eat, but all this from his clarity of belief and trust in Hashem, he does that. That is, you should look at the Netivot Shalom in Pharshat Behar. When a person drops something, right, it's like he's making a statement. He's saying, it's not mine. It's lo sheli. It's not mine. When he so-called drops or let go of his quote-unquote land during the Shemitah, he needs to deal with that in the same, he needs to have the same attitude. And that requires a lot of koach of emunah, power of belief, in order not just to do that, but to realize that nothing is yours. Everything that you have was given you for a specific reason, to do a specific task, and you must do something with it. That's why if you have a lot of things, you have to be very, very concerned, because you need to do something in it. To just put it in storage, not do nothing with it, that's going to be a problem. Marbe nechasim, marbe de'aga. You have a lot of possession, you have to worry about them. Not only about, that's for, if somebody is going to steal it, or somebody is going to, if one thing is going to break, that's on the very, very bottom level. To a person who understands, he says, why do I have this telephone? Why do I have this belt? Why do I have these shoes? To do something with them. What's the mitzvah? What's the tikkun in which I need to do with this object? It's not mine, it was given to me. To understand that is a totally different level, that really nothing is yours. The only thing, and I told you this about 1,007,500 times, the only thing that is yours forever, both ba'olam hazeh and ba'olam haba, is your mitzvot, your ma'asim tovim, and your Torah. That would nobody take away from you. Everything else is subject to be taken away from you. Everything. If you're going to internalize it and realize that, they say, why am I so possessed about getting new stuff? It's going to be all taken away from me anyway. As they say, you can't take it with you to the grave. So to drop the land for a year, it is a tremendous realization, thank you for knocking the table, how this world is all about. That nothing, absolutely nothing is yours. This is a tremendous emunah. You are saying, I am not the boss. I am not El Jefe. The whole essence of Shemitah, the sabbatical year, is to bring you to that level of emunah, that level of belief. So the question is asked, why Shemitah was immediately when they entered the land? Because the pasuk says, Ki tavohu el haaretz asher ani noten lachem, when you're going to come to the land in which I give you, v'shavta haaretz shabbat leHashem, and the land is going to have a sabbatical, a Sabbath to God. It seems that it will be reasonable to say, well, you enter the land, right? You finish conquering the land, and so on and so forth. 6 years, plant, harvest, store, whatever. And then the land will have a sabbatical. It just makes sense. And here the pasuk says, "Ki tavou la'aretz v'shavta ha'aretz." In other words, immediately. What's the inyan in that? What is the Torah trying to tell us? So comes Rashi says, "Shabbat le'Hashem, l'shem Hashem," for the sake of God. What does it mean to the sake of God? Just as it says in Shabbat when we talk about Bereshit, Sefer Bereshit. HaKadosh Baruch Hu told us to let go on the seventh day, right? As we say in Kiddush on Shabbat, Zecher Lema'aseh Bereshit, that we should always remember the act of creation. Why is that? Why do we need to remember there was an act of creation? That there was a creation, and that because there was a creation, there is a creator. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu, since it's the creator, he's mechadesh, is renewing creation every single moment. Mechadesh b'chol yom betuvo ma'aseh bereshit. With his kindness, he renews creation. In other words, the process is going on. For the same reason, HaKadosh Baruch Hu commended us immediately upon entering the land to show the nations of the world that he is the patron. He is el padrino. He is el jefe. He is el jefe grande, the boss of all bosses, the king of all kings. He is God.
The one and only.
The one and only. And as Rashi says on the word Bereshit, over there, why did he start Bereshit? Bereshit, B'shvil Israel, and so on and so forth. And it says in Tehillim, Psalms Kuf Yud Aleph, 111, Koach ma'asav higid le'amo latet la'im nachalat goyim. He showed them, his nation, to Am Yisrael, the Koach, to give him the inheritance of the 7 nations that live in the land, that if they would come, umot ha'olam, like they do today, and they will tell the Jews, listimatem, you are conquerors, you are occupiers, you occupy the land of other people, the Jews should be able to tell them, Melo kol haaretz kevodo, the land, the world, the universe belongs to God. He created it, and he does with it as he sees fit. And he gave it to us. Of course, there's a tremendous lesson for us, or to our brethren who are dearly living in the land of Israel, in the Holy Land, that if they would keep Shabbat and if they will keep Shemitah, there would be no claim on the land, no from Palestine and no from Batech, not from no one. No Hezbollah, v'na Uzbillah, from no one. It all depends on keeping Torah and keeping Shabbat. You guys don't recognize that's exactly it. The nations of the world are coming down and says, oh, you're occupiers. I'm an occupier. Excuse me. Fire the teacher who taught you history. Didn't you learn? Didn't you go to Bible class? Maybe they should relearn the Quran. Who lived in this land?
Canaanites.
We did.
Oh, before that, yeah. Sorry.
Who gave it to us? God is not a real estate agent. God is the Lord. He's the boss. And you need to remember that. If we will keep Shabbat in Israel, more so in Israel, if we will keep Shemitah in Israel, nobody has a claim. Nobody has a claim. And that's what we need to remember. That's why the Rabbeinu Bechayei says, "Lekach tzivta Torah mitzvah zo." That's what the Torah commands us, this mitzvah of shmita, שיהיו כל מיני הממשלה והאדונות שבתחתונים בטלים בעבודת הארץ. The Torah commands us on shmita, so everything that we do down here should be extinguished in the land to show that God is the HaKadosh Baruch Hu He is the boss. And in order for the man to look in his heart, ki en ikar ha'adonut ve'amemshala, the power and the governing power is not really to a government, but rather to God Himself. And that's Rabbeinu Bechayai in Sefer Behar, and on Pharshat Behar. Now, if we're going to look on the Shemitah, was you? If we're going to look at the Shemitah from a spiritual work point of view, of what we need to do, we would see that besides sitting down, we need to leave everything behind. That's one thing in Shemitah. And yet, we need to go back to our root. To give up all kind of bad traits and qualities we have. To give up all desires that we have. I mean, for example, I don't understand all these people who, now that they have their Facebook, leg note, whatever they have over there, right? They're looking for their sweetheart darlings, those high school sweethearts, all kind of. It's like it's past, it's gone. Just leave it behind. Also, the same thing for what you liked when you were a kid and 15 years old. Just drop it. Who cares about hockey? Who cares about basketball? Who cares about these things? Who cares about Family Guy? Who cares about all this Brady? I mean, what would you watch Brady about? How about Abbott and Costello? I tell you that Abbott Costello, a little bit more sharp than what we have today in TV. You don't know Abbott Costello? Fine. So all your old desires, you need to learn to let go. And we need to drop all the things that prevent us to reaching us and connect them with the root, with our roots, with what gives us chayut. Just like a tree, if you're going to create a disconnect between the roots and the trunk, the tree will die. We need to constantly, and by the way, this is how you kill a tree. You'll peel the bark, and the tree will die. That's what happens to us. It will take some time until the whole tree will die, but the tree will die. You need to remember that. And that has to do a lot with the basic emunah, that everything that we have internally or externally, in other words, in terms of our abilities, our kochot, our talents, or our possessions, again, as we say, they're all giving us by HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and it's just a deposit that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is leaving for us. Now that He gave it to us, we need to do something good with it. So therefore, I'm going to ask you a question. If you're going to ask about the essence of Shabbat, what is the essence of Shabbat? The essence of Shabbat and the understanding that resting on Shabbat is not necessarily physical. It's not whether I'm working or I'm not working. And that's a mistake that most people make. For me, Shabbat is to go to the beach, or for me, Shabbat is to go to, I don't know, wherever people go. Shopping. It's not about you getting tired or you're not getting tired. It's not about that. So what is this? So let me explain to you. According to Kabbalah, there are a few worlds. There's Olam Atzilut, there's Olam Bria, there's Olam Yetzirah, and there's Olam Asiyah. The two other words, other levels of, one of them is Adam Kadmon, which is above Atzilut. It's so high that You have no idea what's going on there. And then there is the level in the twilight of Olam Asiyah that's really at the bottom, almost outside of, and that's where we are. That's where we are. So, in order to understand the essence of Menucha and Shabbat, the Mekubalim use a very beautiful analogy, and they say that during the whole entire week, HaKadosh Baruch Hu pushes humanity down towards the below the world of Asiyah, the world of doing, and humanity, because it was pushed down, needs to create, of course, like in physics, the jump up. And that jump up could be done only on Shabbat. And by doing so, on Shabbat and by doing this interaction between the 6 days and the 7 days, I'm creating vessels, I'm creating kelim. And those kelim, those vessels are built on resistance. For example, how does a child define himself? If you go to Erickson, by all this crisis that you go throughout your stages of life, those 8 whatever stages of crisis that you go through, and especially through adolescence. So how you and your parents handled your adolescence, your teenage years, would really determine what kind of a vessel would you become when you are. Your phone is on your thing. What kind of a person would you become when you are an adult? So that really depends. In other words, HaKadosh Baruch Hu put us to this world, and He made us eat and work and build and on and on and on and on, in order to be able to elevate ourselves from this materialistic thing. We really need to fight the Yetzer with an unstoppable way. We have to continue fighting this materialistic trend that we have to, or that was implanted into us. And however, on Shabbat, HaKadosh Baruch Hu removes this push, and then automatically we go up. That's why when the neshama leaves us on, that 1/60th of neshama that leaves us on Shabbat, we also already feel sad, because the push starts again. However, because if I would, for example, push a spring down, and then I would let go, it would bounce up. That bounce up is because HaKadosh Baruch Hu removed this. What do? We don't want that. We keep on running after those desires and so on and so forth. And that's why we can never develop the appropriate kelim to receive spirituality or to elevate ourselves, and we always lose. And it's a very, very painful point. So let me ask you a question. So you work on Shabbat or you don't work on Shabbat? Of course we work on Shabbat. There is avodah on Shabbat. You came here to work. However, there are different types of work. The avodah of Shabbat is, first of all, what's the avodah of Shabbat? Is first of all not to disturb the process, and to guard its kedusha, its holiness. For example, one of the examples I can give you is, from the world of sales. If you're a salesman or you're selling or retail or whatever it is, one of the they give you many tricks about how to sell things and what to do when you're selling and so on and so forth. But one of the most important things that they tell you is, once the customer is willing to pay, he goes like this, to take his credit card or to write you the check, don't talk anymore. Be quiet. Don't talk. It's okay. Because anything that you would add to that will make it worse. The more you add, the worse it gets. He already made up his mind. You convinced him. Or the same thing if you go to a girl, says, listen, I will give you flowers, he courts her, takes her on dates, they go to museums, and then he says to her, would you marry me? And she says, okay. Now, Every day, ask her, would you marry me? So he said, listen, take it, Limata Mishuga, what's wrong with you? And said, no, how many times are you going to ask me? Something is wrong with this guy. So our job on Shabbat is not to interfere. Not to interfere with those ongoing things that we need to do. We need to work, we need to work, we need to work. It's to guard its kedusha and not to interfere in guarding it. So the fact that we do the 6 days work during the week, it's a pele, right? And it's very nice. It's wonderful. It's very nice. That's your job. You need to do your job, and that's the avodat tikkun. That's what you need to fix. The tikkun, the Kabbalah. That's what you need to do to make this world into a better place. And I'm going to have a chidush for you. A farmer, real farmers are really spiritual people, and a farmer does really spiritual work. What are you talking about? Working with dirt. Farmer does a spiritual work. What does it mean? In the Kabbalah, they compare the planting of the seed of the man in the womb of the woman to the similar process of planting the seed in the earth. Seed like, plant seeds, yeah? And we call the Adama, the land, the earth, it's called Nukva. Nukva means a nekeva. She's a female. That's what by the way, how do we call the earth, nature? We call it Mother Nature, right? We don't call it Papa Nature. We call it Mother Nature. In South America, they call it Pachamama. Yeah, sure. Yeah, you don't speak like Espanol.
I failed in the 5th grade. So.
Okay. Never too late, honey. Anyway, so Nukva in Kabbalah, that's Malchut. And it's like the womb that you put the seed inside, and something new is formed for that. You put a seed, and then you get a plant. You put whatever you put inside the woman, and you get a human. It's the same concept. So let me ask you, what's more important? Shabbat is important, or the 6 days are important?
Shabbat.
Well,
they're both important.
But let me tell you, if you're going to say that Sheshet Yemei HaMaaseh, Lefi Kabbalah, the 6 days of creation, is called the Ze'er Anpin, right? And Shabbat is Malchut, so what's higher, Ze'er Anpin or Malchut? Of course, Ze'er Anpin, because it comes above in the order of Sferot. Ze'er Anpin is those 6 lower Sferot after the first 3, and it's higher than Malchut. So that should be more important, right? And why do we say that just makes sense. Therefore, it's very important to understand that the purpose of any avodah, any work that we do during the day is so we can stop on Shabbat. So we can stop on Shabbat. So the 6 days are really serving Shabbat. The same thing as the 6,000 years of the Tikkun Olam, right, have no meaning whatsoever without the 7,000, right, the 6,000 plus the 7,000. So is the 6 days of the week have no purpose and no meaning if it's not Shabbat. So when you don't keep Shabbat, you live meaningless life. If you live with the notion that you work today for something that is going to be better, for something that is better, right? And you're going to have sachar, you're going to have a reward. Very upset, the two of you. You're going to have a great reward for doing what you're doing, right? So every action that you're going to do during the 6 days for that purpose, for that goal, is going to get a good taste. So if I understand that I'm working 6 days for Shabbat, I'm looking forward, and I know there is a reward. I'm looking forward. If I'm going to tell you, that's why, by the way, why communism fell down. Why? There was no reward. I work hard, I don't work hard, it's all the same. Capitalism, in a way, it's better. Why? You work, you get paid. You don't work, You don't get paid. That's why we give government handouts. That's very bad. Very bad. You don't understand, when you get a freebie, it takes the taste of earning or even that object that you got, and you resent it. And the more free things you give to people, at the beginning they would love you, but at the end they will hate you. They would resent you. That's why in halakha we say to the person, the best level of tzedakah is giving a job to a person, not giving him money, not knowing who you give to, and he doesn't know who gave it to him. That's good, but it's not the best. The best that he will be able to have some dignity, that he's not living from handouts. If I'll give you all the time at the beginning, you would love me, but then you will hate me. And that's why HaKadosh Baruch Hu created this world like this, that we would need to work. You want something, you have to work hard to get it. And you need to understand that. But then you're going to get a sachar, you're going to get a reward. So therefore, everything that I do, I have a meaning. It makes sense. I know why I'm working. I know I'm going to get a job. There is a reason and a meaning for what I'm doing. So the 6 days that I work hard is just for Shabbat. Shabbat, by not doing so, I'm springing myself up to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You need to understand that. You need to explain this to people who are not Shomer Shabbat. What poor people they are. The miskinim, I feel bad for them. I really do. Not understanding, walking in darkness is horrific. Living life with no meaning, with nothing to look forward to. If you don't keep Shabbat, what is there to look forward to? Monday to go to work? Shoot me. But I cannot wait to go to work, because I know that after that there's another Shabbat, and I'm going to get every Shabbat higher and higher. There's a reason why I'm working. Money is not a reason to work. Money is not a reason to work. The reason to work is tikkun olam. And if I know, for example, that we are going to the galut and to exile, and at the end, there's going to be geulah and salvation. So all the suffering will be good. In the end, we will have hafachta mispadi lemachol. My points of agony will be a reason to dance, because I understand what I have to go through. It's like a mother who suffers through childbirth. It's terrible. It's hard. You can't understand what it is to give birth. First of all, to carry a human inside your body for 9 months, it's like mind-boggling. But then to go to birth, my goodness, pulling a teeth is hard. I mean, one tooth is a birth. And yet she sees the baby, she hugs him right away, and she nurses him right away, and she cries from joy, because she understands what it is. Not for getting political, but wanting to kill baby through abortion would probably means that we don't value our lives altogether. Of course, there's always exceptions and so on and so forth. But beyond the political aspect of that, we need to look at the philosophical point of that. Why are we so eager to do that? It will be like the Romans that used to have food orgies, that they used to eat and then take a peacock fat and put it down the throat so they can vomit, so they can eat more. That's bulimia. Well, that's the same thing. Now, Torah is a little bit as good. It's a break from your wife. If she complains, tell her, send her to me, I'll talk to her.
I have to pick it up from one hand.
1 minute. That's how it is. Now, on Shabbat, there are things that are mitzvah lasot. I need to connect myself more and more to Shabbat, in Shabbat. But it's not something that I'm creating. I'm not creating anything on Shabbat. Through the peulot that I'm doing, I'm singing, I'm eating, and so on, I'm connecting more, but I'm not creating anything new on Shabbat. And that's the difference between the 6 days and Shabbat itself. In the 6 days of work, I have merits, I have energy. I know why I'm doing. I have joy. Almost like those chalutzim, those pioneers that came to redeem the land of Israel. To support the Jews that live. The Jews always live in Israel. Don't believe those idiots in Europe that tell you the Jews are common conquerors. The Jews always left. They're always there. If anybody's a conqueror, it's those Palestinians, not the Jews. But people don't care about history, they care about lying. Anyway, those chalutzim, they went through hell. They went through malaria and swamps and hard work and Arabs that always tried to kill them. But they had my grandfather, my mother's father, when he came to the land, he was the happiest man in the world. I told you a few times, he tried to sneak into Israel. And he was caught in the border in Syria. They sent him back to Turkey and like this 3 times. And then after the war, he came back. That was before he met, and after he met my grandmother. And then he came to Israel. They put him in a tent. They lived in tents, like Indians, like Apaches, whatever. He lived in tent for a few years. He was happy. Living in the land. It's good. They gave him work. What do you want to do? Anything. Okay. Go pick up oranges. Not a problem. He was happy. He was happy. I'm redeeming the land. I'm working my land. I don't care that I'm picking oranges. It's good. And in Eretz Israel. Later on, he worked for a big construction company. He was the happiest man in the world. He was building the land. There was a reason. He didn't construction, getting dirty. He was very proud of what he was doing. He's an amazing man. He considered himself to be a chalutz. I'm redeeming the land. He was very proud of what he did. And there was meaning for what he did. But when we are not proud at what we do, most likely because there's no meaning in what we do, and therefore the question is, why do we do it? Why do we do what we do? Do what gives you meaning. So they say in the name of Rav Ashlag, I'll tell you something. That's why I said last night. So it's something beautiful. I like it. We all say, Oseh Shalom Bimromav. Everybody's singing, right? Oseh Shalom Bimromav. If God, you might think that there is some kind of like a parliament or a heavenly parliament when there are Democrats and Republicans and socialists over there and Bernie Smenders and all the other Shmaki Schumer and all the other choleras, right? They're also fighting in Shamayim, right? That's not true. In Shamayim there's no fight. What does it mean? Oseh Shalom Bimromav. You ever think about this? What, they fight in heaven? An angel is not possible to fight. Heaven is harmony. What does Oseh Shalom Bimromav? You say it every day. You never thought about it. Don't be robots. That's beautiful what he's saying. He says, Oseh Shalom Bimromav, that is man. That's not God. Oseh Shalom Bimromav, that is man. How? When a person mitromem, elevates himself, mitromem, above all the opposing forces inside of him, when he makes peace, elevates himself spiritually, bimromav, in his elevations, right? He lifts himself above the mountains. What are the mountains? How do we say a mountain in Hebrew? How do we say thoughts in Hebrew? Hirhu. It's not only one har, it's hirhurim. It's a chain of mountains. It's like Lewis and Clark spiritually inside of you. You have to go over those mountains. You elevate yourself up. Today, to cross the continental divide, a piece of cake. You take a plane, you fly. When you are able to elevate yourself from the contradiction, from the struggles, from your desires inside, and you're creating peace with all your opposing forces inside of you, then when the person does this, so is HaKadosh Baruch Hu does it, right? Then who HaKadosh Baruch Hu, עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו, on us ועל כל ישראל. Now, what does that have to do with everything that I told you? Shalom is unity between opposing forces, between contradictions, right, left, creating harmony. When there is an order and there is unity between opposing poles, then there is joy, yesh simcha. But why there is suffering? There is suffering because we're opposing, right? When there is opposition, something different. I want X. They don't give me X, so therefore I'm suffering X, whatever amount, whatever I don't have, whatever he has and I don't have. That's why I'm suffering. So what is shalom? When we are able to make all the unification together. Shalom is also the name of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That is unity, achdut, unity together. Ichud shamayim va'aretz, making heaven and earth one. Unity between opposing, as we says, hu yaseh shalom bimromav, right? So hu yaseh shalom aleinu. That's why Shabbat, when we say to somebody, what do we say? Should we say, oh, have a good Shabbos? That's not good to say a good Shabbos. Do you know why it's not good to say a good Shabbos? Because I don't say no. Because there is something much deeper when we bless one another. Shabbat Shalom. Why? On Shabbat is a day that we are all equal. We are all the same. We are all servants of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We all go to shul. We all pray more or less the same time. We all light candles on the same time. We accept Shabbat on the same time. And we leave Shabbat almost at the same time. That's why it's important. You have to understand what you're doing when you rush Shabbat out. We are all the same. At that moment, we are all the same. When you say to a person, you don't say, you say, yo, this person is...
This is 10.
What happened to your beard? Oh my goodness. So what do we say? When we say, at that point, we say Shabbat Shalom, right? It means, when I'm blessing somebody Shabbat Shalom, I'm saying Shabbat of unity. When there's no Ashkenazi, there's no Sfaradi, there's no Hasidi, there's no Litai, there is only Shomer Shabbat. On that note, since Behar tells me here to be quiet already because he needs to go, he doesn't want to learn this in Torah. So on that happy note, I'm going to tell you Shabbat Shalom.